Junior breeding gilts with this first class judge. These hogs were born between February 10th and January 12th. We need our AOB darks, AOB dark gilts. Make your way to the makeup ring, please. We'd like to welcome our judge back into the ring, Mr. Dylan Sheets. Dylan's from Larwell, Indiana, where alongside his family, they own and operate Sheets Livestock, focusing on selling pigs and cattle to junior exhibitors across the country. He's also a sales consultant for ShowPig.com. He attended Black Hawk East and Iowa State University, where he got a degree in animal science and was a member on both of those livestock judging teams. While at Black Hawk East, he was a member of the 2021 to 2022 Livestock Judging Team of the Year. If you're around ringside, put your hands together once again for Mr. Dylan Sheets.
Really an awesome way to kick things off here in the Gilt Show. And again, I believe all four of them here in this light AOB division are land races. And again, we've got a really commanding, I thought, and a good way to kick things off, a good way to get things started in our Breeding Gilt Show and our class winner. I thought one that was very, very good just in terms of her presence, her stoutness, her spread when she comes right at you. I thought was very, very impressive. She's equally as good there just in terms of the looseness of her spine, her structure, her ability to just get out and go, I thought was awesome. Neat looking, tall shouldered, really, really good ahead of her blade. I thought an awesome kind of an individual to go ahead and lead things off in this particular division. Congratulations to him. Our Gilton, too, I thought, again, from the side, really painted a good kind of a picture in terms of height, the shoulder. Her height, the length ratio actually probably suits me just a shot better than what our class winner did. She's a little bigger kind of a gilt just from a foundational perspective. She's got some spread and some shape, some strength there to her top line. I thought she was just a shot neater in the way she was assembled ahead of her blade and the gilt we're going to drop out next. She's longer, leveler, and ultimately looser there out of the upper part of her hip. I thought a highly presented kind of a gilt, a good kind of a pig to work into the reserve in this particular division. Big, stout, broody kind of a gilt coming in 3. I like those things about her. She's big and opened up about her arm. A great turn there to the center portion of her body. She's as big and just in terms of her column of rear bone as anything. I like those things about her. I read her probably just the plainest ahead of her shoulder in terms of her genuine look. She's a little shorter and steeper there in the upper part of her hip. That gilt's got some stoutness. She's got some true spread there at the base of her skeleton. Really a neat looking kind of a gilt that rounds us out. One that certainly looks like she's on her way up in terms of just look out front, just the quality of the shape there to the front part of her skeleton's good. She's broad in the upper part of her build. She's got a big, stout kind of a hip working in her. She's a little frailer just in terms of her feature. More importantly, I thought she closed up the most at the bottom side of her build. Really a good class, a nice kind of a class winner. Congratulations to those kids.
And placings in class number 1, AOB Light Gilts. First in your champion AOB Light Gilt goes to Hayden Natcher. Second reserve AOB Light Gilts Braden Howard. Third to White Stump. Fourth to Jack Shepard. Looking for seven entries in this class, Judge. 8 entries, 8 entries in this class. These hogs were born between December and January. Just a reminder, Swan exhibitors, if you have not signed up for showmanship, come to the announcer stand immediately. That will be closing at the conclusion of the show. So if you haven't registered for showmanship in the morning, you need to do so immediately.
Really an impressive class here, an awesome kind of a top trio, if you will, as we get into our dark pures and three pigs that are dang sure deserving to sneak up to the top end of this particular division. They all come with some differences. I thought just the longer you study them and just keeping it simple, there's one of them that's just stouter than the rest. She's broader than the rest, and yet at the same time, she doesn't give up anything. I thought from a structure and just mobility perspective, I like our big Tam on the far side of the ring there to win this particular drive. And again, just overwhelming in terms of spread, bulk, and density. I thought her chest view, her arm, the shape to her body, her spread and roll up high was so good. And then in comparison to another one in contention, she's stouter in her foot size. She's bigger just in terms of her front feet. And then I thought her bone work hit me as just a shot stouter, a shot truer there at the bottom side of her skeleton. She doesn't come without hole, and that's what makes things just a little closer up top, because this young man's Gilt that's going to be reserved, I thought, had just a little fresher and more alert kind of a look, if you will, ahead of her blade. Tall shouldered, good looking, real fresh from the brim of her nose on back into the base of her chest. I like those things about her. Underline up, just so flawless in terms of her muscle texture, her physical feel, and just her freshness at this stage of her life. I commend the young man there and the folks behind her on keeping her fresh and getting her ready. Awesome set of running gear down low. I didn't read her as stout and just as overwhelming as what our class winner. I didn't read her just as long, loose, and level out of her hip. Hey, front 2/3 of this Gilt in third, absolutely flawless. She's got a beautiful head, a big square chest, a great view coming at you. I thought those things were very impressive. Her transition points from her arm back into her forerib were good. I thought she's got some feature and just some stoutness to the lower part of her skeleton. I crawled in behind the livestock. I never read her just as big and stout about her hip as what our class winner in reserve was. And then at the same time, for being a little flatter, she rolls her hock a little further on the outside of her body wall than what I would deemed ideal there. But front 2/3 are near flawless in that particular Gilt. I love her head shape. I like her look. I like her lower line balance and just her physical feel. A shot better than this young man's Gilt in 4. This is another one that skin and hair and just presentation so good. Heavy boned, very stout headed kind of a Gilt. Honestly, looks like she got to the fair and just didn't decide to eat. If that one would fill and come with just a shot more there in the center portion of her body, I think it allows her to balance better. And she's got the pieces in terms of look, feature, and just quality of skeleton to be very competitive. She's got to come with more in this particular setting to work up any higher amongst this class. Good looking, really attractive kind of a Gilt, comes in 5, closes up a little more at her chest, begin to break her down. She's a shot rounder out of her hip. That's a good pig whose structure was good. Her presentation was nice as well. Congratulations to him. We start dropping a few more of these out. I thought this particular Gilt's body shape, her spread, her genuine power was very impressive. She balanced a bit better in her middle body than the Gilt that she preceded. I thought she was a little tighter off of both ends of her skeleton. Stam Gilt's good structured, attractive, needs more to her. Thought the Gilt we rounded out with had some bone, had some feature, a little closed up down low, a little harder in the center portion of her body. Congratulations to those kids. Did a great job in that class.
And placings in class number 2, AOB Dark Gilts. First Kentucky was Mally Sipes. Second was Nolan Hobbs. Third to Jessica Conrad. Fourth to Ethan Hall. Fifth and second Kentucky was Brantley Shoemaker. Sixth, Lakeland Shoemaker. Seventh, Jackson Shoemaker. And eighth, Brantley Shoemaker. Congratulations. It's Berkshire time, folks. Swing the gates. We'll get started with your Berkshire Gilts. Judge looking for eight entries in this class. These hogs were all born in the month of January. We need our second class of Berkshires. Class 2 Berkshires. You need to be making your way to the makeup ring, please. Class 2. Just a friendly reminder to all of our exhibitors, please make sure your back tags are correct when you come into the ring, please. Please make sure your back tags are correct when you come into the ring.
Really a good class here on the Berkshire side of things. And I thought our depth of quality was impressive. And yet at the same time, there's a lot of ways you can jumble up. I thought 2 on down the line because there's certainly some differences amongst them. I thought our class winner was non-negotiable, in my opinion, just from a perspective of combining the most good in this particular drive. She's stout down low. She's got a good look out front. She comes at you square, opened up, and genuine. I thought the slope, the set, and just her ability to be more comfortable up front was better than the Gilt that we have in 3. Her freshness and just her texture of muscle is better than the Gilt we have in 2. I thought a good place to go ahead and land the lead on. Our Gilt in 2, I thought it's kind of slowly but surely worked her way on up the ladder in this particular drive. She's big, she's high performing, she's square, she's broad, she's opened up. I really like those things about her. I thought she had the class leading advantage just in terms of a spread to her body. She's big in terms of her back line. She's a stout hipped kind of a Gilt. I thought those things were very, very good. A little plainer up front. She's not as fresh as what our class winner was, and she isn't as stout at the bottom side of her build either. But again, big, broad, powerful in the upper part of her skeleton. I thought those things were very, very good. This Gilt here was quick to get a pin, and I thought was deserving of that because she's tall-shouldered, she's good-looking, she's big in her arms, she's stout in her feature. She's a Gilt that's got some bone, has some fresh shape, and just some radical shape there to the top side of her skeleton. I thought that was good. Obviously, the longer that Gilt drives, she rolls out in her elbow. She's too upright in her shoulder. shoulder, and then her endurance really begins to give out on us out here. That's what worked that Gilt down the line. If she could stay together just a little better up front, man, I think that particular pig could make things a shot more competitive on the top end of this particular class. Our Gilt in 4, really good from the side in terms of look, elevation, pattern, and just quality of structure. Too closed up there at the base of her chest and the bottom side of her knee. We got to open her up there and allow her just to offer more spread and genuineness as she drives right at us. This Gilt coming next, a shot bigger in terms of her size. I like those things about her. She's got some true spread, some real muscle, some shape to the center portion of her body. I thought those things were very, very good. She too closes up a bit more at her chest, a little plainer there at the front part of her skeleton. We drop another one out whose pattern and look I thought was very, very impressive. Tall shouldered, good looking, awesome on the upper part of her skeleton. Got to spread that Gilt apart at her knee there. If we can do that, I think her look, her elevation, her fresh shape, and the center portion of her body can certainly drive her up a couple notches in this particular class. A real stouty that comes next, extra dense in terms of her foot size, her feature, her spread, and her genuine muscle. She's a little coarse for this particular guy, specifically there in her hock joint and her head shape, a little too moderate in this particular class. Round out with a good kind of a Gilt from a structure perspective. Needs more just about everywhere to work up any higher in this class. But she's good structured. She's good looking. Young man does a nice job of getting her presented. Congratulations to those kids. Another good class.
And placings in Class 1, Berkshire's first and first Kentucky went to Adeline Jackson. Second and second Kentucky was Ava Toomey. Third, Hayden Turner. Fourth, Colton Fitzpatrick. Fifth, Kaylee Dunhoft. Sixth, Tanner Eisen. Seventh, Scotty Rainwater. Eighth, Jackson Shoemaker. Congratulations. Entering the ring is Class 2, Berkshire Gilts, looking for 4 entries judged. These Gilts are all born in the month of December. Following this class, we'll be selecting your top 3 Berkshire Gilts. So we need that first class of Chesters. Class 1 Chesters, make your way to the makeup ring. That is your class, Judge.
Really another good class here in our Berkshire division. And similar to our first class, we got a commanding kind of a class winner that the young man drives to us again. And just the combination, if you will, the Gilts in 2 and 3. I thought she was awesome from the side in terms of her look, her presence, her ability to just be assembled like a lady up front. Big in terms of her foot size, her feature. I thought more importantly, though, she's square. She's genuinely down low. She's got real muscle and has some shape up high and doesn't sacrifice from a skeletal perspective. Thought an awesome kind of an individual to win this particular class. I thought a neat kind of a generator, if you will, lies here in second that the young lady's got. Extra stout about her head. I like her ocular width. That's a Gilt whose arm hangs far on the outside of her body wall. Big in terms of her back and really, really stout about her hip. I thought her just hard shape and genuine freshness was very, very hard to work past. We step off to the side of them and just analyze them for what they are. I didn't think that Gilt was near as unique just about the shape of her head, the length of her face specifically. She's a little plainer about her crest there, a little tighter about the set and slope to her shoulder. Man, I thought her moderation, her power, her freshness was very, very good, driven very capably as well. Gilt in 3 standing still offers a lot of really good pieces. Tall-shouldered, good-looking, extra attractive. I like those things about him. I thought when we set the livestock in motion, she's by some margin the quickest and just sharpest about her step. I didn't think she was quite comfortable enough off either end of her skeleton to push those 2 ahead of her any higher. But again, a good class, really a nice trio. Congratulations to those kids.
And placings in class number 2, Berkshire Gilts. First went to Chance Hager, second went to Jillian Young, third to Josie Hopper. We're now showing for your champion reserve and third overall Berkshire Gilts. In contention from class 1, we have Adeline Jackson, and from class number 2, we have Chance Hager.
Really an impressive pair of them here in our Berkshire division. And again, not just from a quality perspective, but I thought a pair of gilts that are driven very, very good from a skin and hair perspective. They're maxed out in terms of their presentation. Both these young people have done just a tremendous job through class. And I thought this pair of gilts rose to the forefront rather quickly amongst their respective divisions. There's some differences amongst them, obviously just from a size and maturity perspective, but certainly just from a quality deal on where you'd rather tie. In my opinion, I thought there was one of them stayed a little truer just in terms of her upper hip and her upper skeleton. I like her look. I like her squareness. I like her spread. I thought for a big gilt, she pieced it together good from a freshness perspective. I like this young man out of the second class. He'll have your champion. Congrats to him.
And your champion Berkshire Gilt comes from class number 2. Entry 311, Mr. Chance Hager. That'll bring in Jillian Young in contention for a reserve.
We drop our second in again. Talked about that gilt being so good and where she's impressive. She is so impressive. Again, our Class 1 winner, maybe just a little awkward there in terms of her length, the rump, and just the way she wants to utilize her hip and hind leg, but so flawless from there forward. Head shape, freshness, just stoutness to her feet I thought was real good. I like that gilt second best. Congratulations, young lady. Be reserved.
And your reserve Berkshire Gilt is entry 300, Adeline Jackson. That'll bring in Ava Toomey in contention for third overall.
Thought our Berkshires were deep in quality, and we dropped this pair of seconds out. Both have the right kind of goods. There was another one memorable in what she did, so impressive. I like the young lady's second out of the second class to be third. Congrats to her.
And your third overall Berkshire Gilt is entry 312, Jillian Young. Congratulations. Let's put our hands together for all those Berkshire Gilt exhibitors. Entering the ring is our only class of Chester White Gilts. Judge, these hogs were all born in January. We need our first class of Durocs. Class 1 Durocs. Go ahead and make your way to the makeup ring. Class 1 Durocs.
Really a good division of Chesters here. And again, I thought her quality on the top end, this particular pair was quick to surface, and they do so for different reasons. I thought both of them were really impressive in where they're strong. They're very, very good. There was one of them, though, I thought that just length of back and length of body allowed her to balance just a shot better, a bit neater about her look out front. And then at the same time, she's opened up, she's square, she's genuine, she hinges together. Very, very good up high. I like this young lady to my left to be your class winner and your champion, Chester. Congratulations to her. I thought really a neat looking kind of a gilt. Big in terms of her chest, awesome about her body, and like we talked about, I thought she hinged together just a little squarer, truer, and fresher on the top side of her skeleton there. She's big about her hips, she's square down low. I thought a nice place to lead. She's not as stout in terms of her bone work as the gilt that we have in two, and again, that's where this one certainly fits into contention. Tall shouldered, really neat looking. It's a big front foot and a stout front paw there. Gilt sack maxes that with a real big stout kind of a hind leg, and I like those things about her. Big about her upper hip and square about her shape up high. She does wash out just a little bit there in her hip loin. She's not as impressive about just her upper rib cage as what our class winner was, and I didn't read her just as square and as true from stifle hawk to ground. But man, she's extra stout in her bone work. She's got a neat look out front, very capably driven, a good kind of an animal to go into in a competitive type of a division. Hey, I like this gilt in threes, just build and pattern, basic kind of a look from the side. I thought was very, very impressive. Got a great set and slope to her shoulder, an awesome kind of a just length of rump and set and posture there to her hip and hind leg. I thought that gilt was big and bold and good about the center portion of her body. She closed up a little more than what I would have deemed ideal there at the base of her chest. She's got an awesome kind of a just shape and count there to her underline, but again, she's got to come just a little stouter, a little square, and a little truer on the top side and the bottom side of her skeleton to work up any higher in this particular drive. Another stoutie comes next, big in terms of her feet, stout in terms of her bones. I like those things about her. I read that gilt just a little more mature about the shape of her neck. I didn't love just the shape of her face and her lack of stoutness there at her lower jawline, but she's square in terms of her body. She's big and opened up there at the bottom side of her build. Round out with a pair of them that just lack a little more in terms of shape and muscle and power. I thought this gilt's look and presence, quality from the side was good. Need to drop her down just a shot bolder and deeper in the center portion of her body. Round out with a gilt that has more shape, a shot more muscle, a little tighter in the way she hinges off either end. Good class. Congratulations to those kids. Awesome top end of Chesters.
And placings in your class of Chester Whites. First in champion Chester went to Ruby Atchison. Second went to Hayden Atcher. Third and first Kentucky was Colton Fitzpatrick. Fourth to Molly Decker. Fifth to Brantley Shoemaker. He was also second Kentucky. Sixth was Lakeland Shoemaker. Congratulations. It's Red Pig time. Looking for 10 entries in this class, Judge, of February Durocs. We need Class 2 Durocs. Class 2, make your way to the makeup ring. We need that second class of Durox. Class 2 Durox. Make your way to the makeup ring, please.
Really a good king, class to kick things off here on the red side of things. And again, I thought really a good trio to sorts up and some differences amongst them. I thought this young man's Gilt, though, just her squareness and skeletal quality is what allowed her to go ahead and star. Really neat looking out front, a tall-shouldered kind of a Gilt that's got a great set and slope there to her blade, level and longer bodied, good in the upper part of her hip. I like those things about her. I thought her hind leg just read the truest, the squarest, and the most comfortable, specifically of our initial trio. And yet with that, I still thought she came with some genuine spread, some shape, some natural power up high. She is a little big for this particular guy and a class of Febs. And man, we could moderate her just a little bit and add some stoutness up high. I thought her build, though, and just her quality of skeleton was very, very good. I thought our Gilton, too, is impressive for maybe all the different reasons, if you will. Really bold, really pliable, extra moderate in terms of her type and kind. I love the shape to her mid-body. The spread to her forerib I thought was so good. She's a big hipped kind of a Gilt. She plants them plenty wide from behind, but I still thought was square and in relation to her body wall there. She's a little plainer about her look out front, and honestly, just pushing the limits for me just a little bit in terms of condition. Man, I like that Gilt's moderation. I like the shape to her body. I like her natural power a good deal to work up in this particular class. Hey, I like this Gilt that comes in 3, really stout, really dense, quick to get a pin because she's big in her front foot. She's stout about her forehead. She's broad in her back. I thought those things were very, very impressive. She pushes and plants just a little more awkward off either end of her skeleton. If we could change and tweak that, I think that Gilt could work up just a shot higher in this particular drive. Hey, this Gilt in 4, honestly, is interesting as anything to me because, man, she's tall-shouldered. She's really good looking. Got just a deadly kind of a set and posture there to her hip and hind leg. I thought those things were very, very good. From the side, she's probably my favorite amongst the class. At the the same time, you got to draw the line just where she's at from a muscle perspective. If there's just enough gilt there to work up any higher, man, she's got a big arm, a stout front foot, be an interesting kind of a breeding piece moving forward, in my opinion. A big, powerful gilt that comes in 5, just a little more awkward in the way she wants to move and set off either end of her skeleton, but she's presented very, very well. I appreciated that about her. Our gilt coming next is good looking, attractive, has some shape up high, a little flatter about the center portion of her body, just throws her balance off from the side there. Another neat looking one with high upside. I thought that dropped out of 7. Big feet, stout bones, tall shouldered, a little flatter about her body, a little rounder about her rump. Round out with a gilt that's, again, got a nice kind of a look from the side, a little flat and dry there in the center portion of her rib. Looks like maybe she didn't want to eat too good when she came to the show. Got a neat look, though. Awesome in terms of her presentation. Congratulations to those kids.
And placings in Class 1 Durocs. First Kentucky was Danny Boy Laurent. Second Kentucky was Mackenzie Dunhoft. Third went to Brooke Montgomery. Fourth went to Jack Shepard. Fifth went to Wyatt Stump. Sixth, Addison Hinton. Seventh, Liam Kingery. Eighth, Kenton Johnson. Congratulations. Looking for 5 entries in this class, Judge. These hogs would all be late January gilts. We need Class 3 Durocs. Class 3 early Januaries. Make your way to the makeup ring.
Little fewer numbers here in this particular class. I thought quality was really, really good, and our top pair is very impressive in my opinion. And again, just phenotypically, they look like mates, and Notch says they could be. And I thought a pair of them very, very similar, just in terms of their types and kinds. Hey, there's just more to one of them from a spread perspective, a genuine power, and just stoutness. That's the young lady's gilt right in front of me. She's got your class winner, and again, opened up from end to end. I thought that gilt was quite a bit more impressive there in the center portion of her body, big and broad in the upper part of her skeleton. I like those things about her. She's not as neat out front. She's not as fresh and just as rolled up as our gilt that's in 2. And man, talk about one from a skin and hair and presentation perspective that's spot on this late into the summer. The young man's done an incredible job just keeping his gilt highly, highly presented, because she's tall-shouldered. She's awesome looking from the side. She's got a big square back laid into her that I thought was just a shot fresher about her texturous shape than what the gilt we let off with. At the same same time, she's just a little flatter everywhere you study her, from her arm to her forerib to the rear part of her skeleton. I didn't think she was as big and just as dense about her lower skeleton either. But man, she's presented so well. She's shown very capably as well. Our Gilt that's in 3 was the young man. I thought look, balance, and just symmetry from the side was very good. Her structure, her athleticism was awesome. She's a little longer bodied, and I dang sure don't mind that. I didn't think that Gilt balanced quite as effectively, though, on the top side of her skeleton. She's not as rolled up and just shapely, if you will. She's a little tighter there from the base of her knee on down to the bottom side of her skeleton. But man, I like her look. Young lady that rounds us out had one that was stout, heavy boned, dense at the bottom side of her build, a little rounder off either end of her skeleton, a little flatter and drier about the center portion of her body. Great class there, guys. Congratulations. 4 good red Gilts.
We need Grips Over and Kenton Johnson for Class 3 Durocs. You need to be in the makeup ring, please. Grips Over and Johnson. Placings in Class number 2 Durocs. First went to Allie Arnold. Second went to Woods Wonderly. Third to Bailey Pig. Fourth to Daniel Laurent. Entering the ring, we're looking for 10 entries in Class 3, Judge. These would be early January Durocs. We need Class 4. We need those December Duroc Gilts to make their way to the makeup ring. Class 4. Following that, we'll select your top 3 Duroc breeding Gilts. Just a friendly reminder, if you have any scratches today, please go and let the ring crew in the makeup area know. If you have any scratches, please go let the ring crew know. Jackson Young, we need you in the makeup ring, please. Jackson Young.
Really a good class here on the Duroc side of things. And what I like about this breed so much is you got 10 pigs in this drive, and all of them have quality. They all have basics, and honestly, just fundamental soundness to go home and be good kind of sows. I thought this particular trio in 2026 did a few more extras to make the right kind of show pigs. So with that said, I thought there was one of them that came in and won pretty logically, in my opinion. That's the young man here in the center, the class winner of this particular drive. Again, so much neater about her head and neck and just height the shoulder, big in her arms, square in her back, really, really stout in terms of her upper hip. I know she's packing just a little more when she turns and leaves you than some guys would consider ideal. But man, I just challenge you to find a fault in terms of her squareness from behind there. I thought she stayed in line. I thought she was stout. I thought she was powerful. I thought she had the far-reaching pieces to be very, very competitive in our Duroc drive. Hey, I like this young man double whipping it to be second. And honestly, that Gilt just took a little longer to come in and get ready to roll in this particular drive. In my opinion, just her generating pieces, a stoutness to her head, the shape of her front foot, the density of her rear bone hit me a bit stronger than the Gilt that's in 3. She comes just a little more odd and put together by committee, if you will. If you catch her in the wrong kind of a segment, she's a little more ring sour, I think, than the Gilts that surround either side of her. But man, when she gets comfortable, she's got the right kind of spread down low. She's got the right kind of stoutness to her skeleton. I really thought an impressive kind of a Gilt to be 2 in a really good kind of a class. Hey, this Gilt in 3 offers a tremendous kind of a look from the side. Tall-shouldered, really good looking, a big kind of a shape there to the center portion of her body. I like those things about her. That Gilt's got real shape and real muscle at the bottom side of her build and really big when she turns and leaves you there in her upper hip. Like our class winner, she's got some extra spread from behind. I didn't think she matched it with the same kind of bone. I didn't think she had the same kind of elite shape to her lower jaw, the base of her brim and of her nose there, and just the stoutness to her head is what the Gilt in 2 did. I thought a well-presented, a highly driven kind of a Gilt that needed to be 3rd in this class, but I thought did some things very, very well. Our Gilt in 4 that comes out was late to get worked, and I probably drove her just as long as I drove anything. But man, I thought that Gilt's look, her elevation, the shape of her head was very, very good. At the same time, I read her the flattest and driest about the center portion of her body. I thought she was just too concave there in the center portion of her rib to work up any higher. She's got a good look, a nice pattern there from the side. I like those things about that Gilt when we stepped off to the side of them. Hey, this Gilt coming next is broad. She's square. She's stout. She's powerful on the upper part of her skeleton. I thought those things were very, very good. A little straighter and more upright about her shoulder. Just a little shorter there about her step from behind. We keep on dropping them out. We had lots of good Gilts in this class. This one's big, long-bodied, good structured. Like those things about her. I read her a little more two-dimensional about just her basic build. This Gilt coming out next. Awesome about her head shape. Really good about her look. Maybe just a little past prime in terms of her freshness. Here's a muscular kind of a Gilt we work out at 8. Needs to be just a little stouter in her lower skeleton, a little more feminine up high. I like this Gilt's power and the shape to her body. Her hind leg bugged me just a little bit. She's a shot flatter about her front foot. Round out with a Gilt that's just a little more two-dimensional, a little harder looking in this particular class. Man, I liked her extra spread and fresh shape up high. Awesome class there. Congrats to those kids.
And placings in class number 3 Durocs. First went to Hayden Atcher. Second went to Colton Fitzpatrick. Third went to Kenton Johnson. Fourth went to Owen Gripsover. Fifth went to Wyatt Stump. Sixth went to Liam Kingery. Seventh to Molly Decker. Eighth, Emily Hinton. Ninth, Ellie Sane. 10th, Emily Hinton. Congratulations. We're now showing Class 4 Durocs. Looking for 4 entries of December Red Pigs. Following this, we'll be selecting your champion, reserve, and 3rd overall Durocs. Just a friendly reminder, if you were 1st or 2nd Kentucky, we will need you in each of those breeds to show for your Kentucky Proud champion, reserve champion Durocs.
Really a good class to round things out here in the red side. Fits together logically, in my opinion. Another, no doubt about it, kind of a class winner. Young man's driven a good set of gilts thus far, and this one's no different. I like her stoutness. I like her just first impressions of look, elevation, power, and dimension that she possesses down low. Got a great big hind leg, a good shape to the upper part of her skeleton. Extra stout there when she turns and leaves you. I'll be the first to admit she's flirting on the line there of show gilt to Sal prospect now. But again, I think if she can come with just a little more and then get just a little more out of her, man, I think that gilt offers some neat pieces, specifically as we work into our champion drive. Hey, this gilt in second, awesome built. Big, stout, powerful. I like those things about her. Specifically, she's better just in the slope and set to her shoulder than what our gilt in 3 is. Tall and elevated out front. I like those things about her. She's a longer bodied kind of a gilt. Utilizes her hip and hind leg, I thought, real good. Didn't come with the same kind of elite pieces of freshness up high and the shape to her head as what our class winner did. I still thought a good kind of a pig to work into. Shoulder back, I like this gilt in 3. Big in terms of her body, a shot more lucrative about her underline maybe than the pair ahead of her, and I like those things about her. Big and brought up high, stout about her hip, has some genuineness to the bottom side of her build. I think we can see it as the drive wears on. That gilt's endurance just gives up on us too much. Too upright in her shoulder, fades a bit more there from behind. I thought her angle and just the slope, though, to her hind leg was basically built into her a little better than this gilt we round out with. This gilt's tall-shouldered, stout-headed, got a great shape up high. I like those things about her. Well presented and great from a skin and hair perspective. That man's done a nice job. A little shorter about her rump, a little quicker about her step. That gilt's got to move better from behind ultimately to work up any higher. Good class there. Be interesting to see how they stack up in our drive.
And placings in class number 4, Durox. First went to Hayden Atcher. Second went to Wyatt Stump. Third to Hayden Turner. Fourth and first Kentucky was Jackson Young. We're now showing for your champion reserve and third overall Duroc breeding gilts. In contention from class number 1, Durox, was Daniel Laurent. From class 2, we have Allie Arnold. From class 3, we have Hayden Atcher. And from class 4, Hayden Atcher. Let's put our hands together for all of our Duroc breeding gilt exhibitors. Let's get that first class of Hampshires. Class 1 Hampshires. Make your way to the makeup ring. Class 1 Hampshires. That'll be your drive of Hampshire. So we need that Herefords. We need our Hereford gilts. Herf time. Make your way to the makeup ring.
Really an impressive set of Duroc gilts, and in my opinion, a few things look better than red gilts on green shavings, and these 4 class winners I thought came out and really set the tone from our first class all the way to our last. They kept quality, they kept basics in check, but yet they offered some extras that I thought we were after in this particular setting. It came down to a pair of them, in my opinion, that are in contention for champion, and I'll be honest with you, one of them, while she is a little further reaching, probably just a little safer on getting us to Thursday night and being an awesome kind of a representation of our red breed. Man, another one I thought was so unique, and where she's impressive was so good. Hey, if she stays together, comes with a little bit more, I think she can be awfully impressive Thursday evening. If she doesn't, you might look at some people and say, hey, that guy had them all twisted up in the red breed. I thought stout, impressive, a beautiful kind of shape to her head. I like the young man out of the last class. Congratulations to him.
And your champion Duroc breeding gilt comes from class number 4, Hayden Atcher. Congratulations. That'll bring in Wyatt in contention for the top 3.
We drop our second out, and that young man drove a great set of red gilts throughout multiple classes, and that gilt's a good representation of the kind, just in terms of basic build and quality that you like. I thought brought a lot of good to the table. Hey, there was another one that came through that I was content if we never got our last class. She's awesome looking. She's really square and just fresher everywhere about the texture and turn to her muscle than the next one that's in contention. I thought a neat kind of an individual came out of our best class. That man, the Purple's reserve. Congrats to him.
And your reserve Duroc breeding gilt comes from Class 3. That's also Hayden Atcher. Good job, Hayden. That'll bring Colton Fitzpatrick in contention for third overall.
We drop our second out from that class. That top trio I thought was very, very impressive. Just as good of a trio of gilts as we've had to sort through in one class thus far. She was a little ring sour, but man, the longer she's out here, she's coming together. It's between her and another one that's in contention. Like I talked about, I like that gilt's head. I liked her freshness. I liked her muscularity. I thought she's probably just a little more modest in her size, a shot more opened up and fresher than the other one that's in contention. Congratulations to that young man. He'll be third out.
And your third overall Duroc breeding gilt is Mr. Colton Fitzpatrick. Good job, Colton. We need all Kentucky first and seconds to stay in the ring. All Kentucky first and second Durocs. Owen Gripsover and Jackson Young, we need you in the ring, please. If you were riding a scooter, we'd ask that you would not do that in the swine barn, please. Please, no scooters in the swine barn. Carol Hinton will come get you.
Really got a good set of Kentucky bred gilts here, and again, several of these were in the mix for our overall reds and wound up competitive in some good classes. I thought there was one though that was close to getting a piece of the pie earlier. Real neat kind of a gilt, big stout burley. Young lady does a good job with it. Right here is your champion. Congrats to her.
And your Kentucky proud champion Duroc is Miss Allie Arnold. That'll bring in Mr. Wonderlick in contention for reserve. Entering the ring now will be your one class of Hampshire Gilts, looking for 5 entries, Judge. These hogs were born between January 11th and December 8th. We need Herefords, Herf Nation. We need you in the makeup ring. Braden Howard, we need you in the ring. Your Gilt class is in the ring. Braden Howard. We need all Herefords, Herf Nation. You need to be in the makeup ring. Braden Howard, this is your final call. Your Hamp class is waiting on you.
Really a good Hampshire division, a pair of polar opposites that kind of work their way to the top end of this particular class. And again, where you really like one, maybe the other comes with a flaw, and there's a little more just give and take maybe than ideal. But again, I thought this pair was real good. It set one issue aside. Man, I thought there was one that was just incredibly impressive about her look out front, just the way she pokes her head out of the gate, big and square in the upper part of her skeleton. Got a beautiful sweep and just dropped there to the center portion of her body. Young man in the pink's got your class winner. Congratulations to him. She's obviously not perfect just in the placement of her front foot and the usage there, and that's where you can get nitpicky on her. Man, I thought her continuation of build, just her mature size and her look from the side was a little more impressive than this Gilton too. This ornery cranky kind of a Gilt, I thought shoulder back, so good. Moderate, broad backed, big in her cage, extra stout in the lower part of her skeleton. I do like the strength of that Gilt's front foot, where her shoulder sits in relation to her body. I thought was very good. She's just a little plainer and more ordinary there ahead of her shoulder, and just not as unique from the side, if you will, in the silhouette she paints. But man, I liked her moderation. I liked her power. I liked her genuineness of skeleton a bit better than this thin belted Gilt. This Gilt's look and pattern silhouette from the side, I thought very impressive. Tall shouldered, really fresh, good looking. Got a very useful kind of a hip and hind leg. She too is just a little flatter in the center portion of her body, a little straighter there about her shoulder, caved in a shot more up front than what I would have deemed ideal. I like our Gilt that came in a little late in 4. She's got the right kind of just stoutness and power in the upper part of her skeleton. Really no fit and fluff there. And that Gilt's got some feature and some genuine power at the bottom side of her build. A little longer and frailer about her nose and her facial features. I didn't read her as stout as a couple of the Gilts that preceded her. Round out with a Gilt that's well presented, very capably driven, has a shot more just foot and bone, I guess, than the rest of the population. I read her just too plain in the upper part of her skeleton to work up any higher in that particular class. Great set of them. Congratulations to those Hamp exhibitors.
And placings in Class 1 Hampshires, and your champion Hampshire went to Nash Wonderlick. Second went to Oliver Gripsover. Third went to Elena Jones. Fourth to Braden Howard. Fifth to Hayden Turner. It's Herf Nation time, folks. Looking for 6 entries, Judge. These hogs were born between February and December. Following this, we need your spot Gilt. Spot Gilt. You need to make your way to the makeup ring.
Impressive Hereford drive on this side, and really I thought a good kind of a pair that work up, a logical class winner that the young man in purple brings. Again, I thought that Gilt's so correct just in the way she's assembled at the bottom side of her build, specifically for this breed. I like the slope and angle to her shoulder. She's big and broad in the center portion of her body. She's a loose spine Gilt that's got a comfortable kind of a hip and hind leg, and yet with that, I still thought came with more than enough muscle in this particular segment. I like her underlying quality. I like the texture to her muscle. I thought really a good place to go ahead and lead in our Hereford division. Really a nice Gilt that follows suit in two. Man, highly presented again from a showmanship, skin and hair, fit and fill, presentation. Really like those things about her. She's probably a little more alert ahead of her shoulder, just the way she's assembled in terms of her freshness. She's a broad back Gilt that's big and stout about her hip. I thought those things were very, very good. She hit me as just a shot frailer about her foot and bone work. At the same time, I didn't think she hinged just as strong at the top side of her skeleton. She's not as tall and just as alert there at the point of her shoulder. She's square in her chest, though. Very, very fresh as an individual, and for that merit, I thought a really good kind of a Gilt to be reserved in a competitive division. I like this Gilt in third. I thought hip forward. She's big, she's broad, she's powerful. She's a Gilt that's opened up in her chest and big in her arm. I like those things about her. She's a powerful Gilt that's really stout about her hip. Ultimately, the rear third of her skeleton, I thought, began to become her demise in this particular class. A little steeper and rounder about her rump, a little frailer about her feature. I didn't think pieced together quite as neat from the side as what that impressive pair ahead of her did. I like this Gilt in four, and honestly, if you're building yourself a Hereford sow base, she's got a really stout kind of a head laid on her, a really big arm, an extra dense kind of a lower feature. I thought those things were very, very good. Pretty loose skeleton, I thought, for a Gilt of this breed as well. A little flatter and drier about the center portion of her body. Ultimately, a little more upright there and just closes in a shot more at the base of her chest. She's got pieces, though, I think that can generate for that young lady long term. A tall-shouldered Gilt comes next. Really big and fresh and shapely about her back. She, too's a little steeper and rounder about her rump, a little frailer about her feature, but I thought her freshness and just her genuineness on the upper part of her skeleton was a bit better than the Gilt we round out with. This Gilt's honestly a bit leveler and square out of her hip, and if that's the option you want to go and move her up a couple slots, I certainly couldn't argue with you. I read her just a little flatter and plainer about the center portion of her body. She's not just as alert ahead of her shoulder or as fresh out there, but he does a nice job getting her driven. She is long, loose, and level from behind. Congratulations to those Hereford exhibitors. Did a great job.
Placings in your Hereford Gilts. First in your champion Hereford went to Woods Wonderlick. Second in reserve went to Jillian Young. Third to Shane Howard. Fourth was Claire Dutton. Fifth in first Kentucky was Bree Colston. Sixth in second Kentucky was Jack Shepard. We're now showing your spotted Gilts in this first class judge of February's, looking for 5 entries. We need Class 2 spots. Class 2 spots. Go ahead and bring Class 3 as well. Class 2 and 3 spotted Gilts. Make your way to the makeup ring.
Really a good class of spots, and I thought fit together really logically, in my opinion. Structure alone, this young lady's Gilt in front of me needs to win. Good looking, awesome about just the lower part of her skeleton. Her ability to point them in the right direction, keep them square and up off the ground, I thought was very, very good. She still comes with some shape, some power, some genuineness to her skeleton as well. I thought still looks like she's on her way up, but has quality at the same time. I thought hip forward, this Gilt in second's got some pieces, big about her foot, stout about her feature, really dense about her skeleton, a little steeper about her hip, a little tighter about her spine, a little rounder there from behind. I still thought a good kind of a gilt, though, that deserved to work up in the second and a nice class. We dropped 3, 4, and 5 out, and all of them similar in terms of size and stature. Young man's gilt stouter. She's more powerful. She's more opened up. Not as alert about her look as the gilt that we just discussed. This young lady's got a gilt that's got some pieces. Fundamentally, she's down. She's moderate. She's square. She's powerful down low. I like those things about her. A little rounder about her rump and just tighter about her shoulder angle. This may be the soundest gilt of the remaining trio, or I guess our bottom trio here that the young man brings us. At the same time, she gives up the most, in my opinion, from just a power and bulk perspective. Really a good class. All 5 of them represented some right pieces and parts. Congratulations to those guys.
And placings in your first class of spotted gilts. First went to Ruby Atchison. Second went to Brooke Montgomery. Third to Brantley Shoemaker. Fourth, Lakeland Shoemaker. Fifth to Jackson Shoemaker. Entering the ring is Class 2 spotted gilts. Class 2, these will be early Januaries. We need Class 3 Decembers. Class 3 December spot gilts. Make your way to the makeup ring. Class 3. Jacob back. We need you in the makeup ring immediately. Jacob back.
Really a good class as we work deeper into our spot division. No doubt about it. Kind of a class winner, if you will. 2 and 3, there's some close and some details that surface. Hey, our class winner's stout. She's dense. She's mobile. Very, very highly presented. I thought a good kind of a pig to win this particular drive. Second and third become just a little more closer. And honestly, the longer you analyze them, I think you could talk yourself into either direction. I thought shoulder back, though, young lady in the yellow gilt was just a bit better. Bigger in her body wall, just bolder and square on the upper part of her skeleton. She hinged better from her hip loin on back into the base of her tail than what the gilt in 3 did. I like those things about her. A little plainer up front, a little straighter about her shoulder. I thought that's where this gilt in 3 began to hold her advantage. She is laid back in, more comfortable about the set and just slope to her blade, and I like those things about her. She's a longer bodied gilt, which I thought read just functional enough in this particular class. A little shorter about her hip, though. I didn't think she hinged in quite as effectively. Just as square, as true, and as neat at the top side of her skeleton is what the gilt that was in second did. Hey, I like this gilt in 4, and she's another one. Shoulder back, burly, broad, dense, very, very broad in the middle part of her body. Has some shape, has some spread. A little plainer about her look and a little straighter about her shoulder. Round out with a good kind of a gilt that's got power, has dimension. I didn't think her structure, maybe off either end of her skeleton, was just in the same league of quality as a couple of those gilts ahead of her. Really a good class. Impressive winner. Congratulations to those kids.
Placings in class number 2. First went to Mally Sipes. Second went to Zoe Ingram. Third to Jillian Young. Fourth and first Kentucky was Wyatt Stump. Fifth went to Maylee Probst. Congratulations. Entering the ring is Class 3 Spot Gilts, looking for 3 entries. These will all be Decembers. Following this, we'll select your top 3 spotted gilts. So Yorkshire exhibitors, Class 1, make your way to the makeup ring. Class 1 Yorks. Once again, just another friendly reminder, please make sure you have the correct back tag on when you come into the ring. We need the correct back tag on when you come into the ring.
Good class to round out what's been a competitive breed. Another logical winner, in my opinion. Good build, put together well from the side. I thought she was smoother just in the way she blended and pieced together than her 2 counterparts. Obviously overwhelming in terms of just shape and spread to the center portion of her body. Capably driven, highly presented. Congratulations to her. Giltitz in 2, I thought was a little fresher on the upper part of her body. I thought she was a bigger hipped kind of a gilt than the one we're going to discuss in 3. She probably still holds that advantage over our class winner, even big, broad, and opened up at the base of her chest. I like those things about her. Gives up a little bit just in terms of front foot and ankle, if you will. I didn't think she was just as smooth in her body wall as the gilt we discussed that led off with. Hey, good gilt in 3 here. Tall-shouldered, good-looking, stout-headed. I like those things about her. Has some shape, has some powder, a little tighter moving off either end of her skeleton. Congratulations to those kids. Nice way to wrap up a competitive breed.
Placings in Class 3 Spot Gilts. First one to Navi Woosley. Second one to Claire Dutton. Third to Jacob Back. We're now showing for your top 3 spotted gilts. In contention from class number 1, we have Ruby Atchison. From class number 2, we have Mally Sipes. And from class 3, Navi Woosley. Let's put our hands together for all these spotted breeding gilt exhibitors. Just a reminder, we need those Kentucky Proud first and seconds.
Really a good division here in our spots. I thought our quality, a lot like our Reds, was deep through classes. A lot of good pigs that came through the ring. I thought our winner, though, non-negotiable in my opinion, reaches as far as you can, but I still thought covered some basics. Hopefully she stays together for the next 48 hours. She looks like one that can be very, very competitive past this particular breed. Congratulations to young lady out of the middle class.
And your champion spot gilt is entry 404, Mally Sipes. Congratulations, Mally. That'll bring in Zoe Ingram in contention for the top 3.
Could get just a little closer there for reserve, if you will. Again, honestly, the parrot comes down between real similar shoulder back and what they do well. I thought there was one of them just a little sharper dressed out front, a little neater looking. I like the young lady out of our first class to be reserved. Congrats to her.
And your reserve spot gilt is also your Kentucky Proud champion. Is entry 398, Ruby Atchison. Congratulations. That'll bring in Brooke Montgomery in contention for 3rd overall.
We dropped that second out. I thought hip forward, an impressive gilt. Very, very stout specifically for that particular drive. Again, next one that suits me best, structural integrity I thought was real, real good. Slope off either ends of her skeleton I like. Just a little pointer out front, pushing the limits just a little further there in terms of condition. Thought a good pig out of our last class. Congrats to her.
And congratulations to Navy Woosley, your 3rd overall spot breeding gilt. As we ask those to leave, we do need to select a reserve Kentucky Proud spotted gilt. In your reserve, Kentucky Proud is entry 408, Claire Dutton. Good job, Claire. It's Yorkshire time, folks. Swing the gates. We'll get started in our first class of Yorkshires. These hogs were born between February 1st and January 1st. We need Class 2 Yorkshires. Class 2 Yorkshires. Make your way to the makeup ring. Following that, we'll select your top 3 Yorkshires, and then crossbred exhibitors will be getting started with you all.
Good class here in our Yorkshire division. A lot of different ways you could go. These top five are good and good for different reasons. I thought there was some give and certainly some take on how you could like them. I thought this skill checked the most boxes, in my opinion, in terms of offering some elevation. She's square. She's opened up. She's genuine down low. She's got some real muscle and some real shape out of the backside of her shoulder. Still maintains a good enough kind of a look out front. I like the shape and set to her front foot. Yet at the same time, while it's not bulletproof, I did think her hip and hind leg allowed her to take a comfortable enough step off either end of her skeleton. I read her as a combination Gilt of the drive. She's well presented. She's very, very capably driven. Showman's Gilt, it's going to be in twos, probably just a shot stouter everywhere you study her, from her forehead on down to her arm. Her front foot's big. She's got a great big kind of a rear bone. I like the posture and just the length of step and her ability to push her hawk a shot further behind the base of her tail than what our class winner did. At the same cake, though, I read that Gilt just a little flatter about her front foot, a little plainer about her crest, and just a little more ordinary there ahead of her blade. If we could lengthen her face and just allow her to be a shot more feminine out front, I think that Gilt could work up in this particular drive. This is a good pig here in 3, and honestly, really doesn't do anything to get the young lady in trouble in this particular drive and continues to work herself up. Got an awesome kind of a hip and hind leg, big and stout in terms of her lower skeleton. I like her spread. I like her bulk. I like her genuine power down low. She's not just as cute, neat, and tidy ahead of her shoulder in terms of just her crest and the shape of her head. That Gilt's got some serious power. She's better in terms of her chest, her front foot, and her view coming at you than this Gilt that's in 4. Shoulder back, this highly presented Snow White Gilt, awesome in terms of her elevation, her look, her squareness of back, her mobility from behind I thought was good. Too closed up at her chest and her knee, a little flatter about her front foot. I like the stoutness that this Gilt in 5 has. Big in her foot, dense about her features, broad in her back, a little tighter moving off either end of her skeleton. We continue to drop these particular Gilts out, and there's certainly some differences as we work through them. I like this Gilt's look and balance, standing still, a little tighter in terms of her rear structure. Another neat-headed kind of a Gilt, too flat and frail from behind. That man comes with a Gilt that's got an awesome kind of a lower balance and just structure to her, too closed up. Round out with a Gilt that's got some muscle, got to move better. Congratulations to those kids. It's an awesome kind of a top end in a class of Yorkshire Gilts.
Placings in Class 1, Yorkshire's first was to Lila Mann. Second went to Kenton Johnson. Third went to Kinley French. Fourth to Ella Stone. Fifth, Emery Burnett. Sixth went to Wyatt Stump. Seventh to Tanner Eisen. Eighth to Jackson Shoemaker. Ninth to Jillian Young. Congratulations. Looking for 6 entries in this class, Judge. These hogs would all be born in the month of December. Following this, we'll select your top 3 Yorkshire Gilts. So, Class 1 crossbred lightweights. You need to go ahead and think about making your way to the makeup ring. Class 1 crossbred lights.
Good class. Fits together probably just a little more logically, in my opinion, than what our first one did. We got a good trio of Gilts, though, here in the top end. Young man in the pink, though, has our combination of the Gilts in 2 and 3. Overwhelming just from a stoutness and power perspective, standing still. She's broad. She's big in her back. She's stout in her hip. Got a good swoop and just turn there to her lower body wall. When asked to drive, if her pace gets going, man, I think she's got a good kind of a step off of either end of her build. Thought an intriguing kind of a class winner, one that did so rather quickly, in my opinion. Just as easily, I like the young man's Gilt in 2 to be second. Tall-shouldered, really loose structure down low. I thought her step and just her quality of foot off either end of her skeleton was better than the Gilts that are in 3 and 4. She's bigger and truer where she hits the surface than the Gilt that's in 3. She's level and square out of the top side of her skeleton. I like her length of rump and just the usage of her hind leg. She gets swallowed when you put them side by side, but our class winner, that's why she's got to be in 2 in a competitive drive. Away from the stock and just standing still, hey, I really like some things about this Gilt in 3. Has a beautiful kind of a silhouette from the front third of her skeleton, an awesome kind of a look, if you will. She didn't just blend and hinge and hook together quite as strong in her top line as what a couple of them other ones did. She's starting to break down and give just a little bit there in terms of her front foot. I didn't think her rear toe and just a rear foot quality was as good as a couple of those Gilts ahead of her. She's got a neat look, though, some generating pieces on down the road. This Gilt in 4 is as big and bold and pliable as anything that we have in the drive. Looks like just a big kind of a Yorkshire sow, if you will. Got a great kind of a turn and shape to the center portion of her body. When asked to drive, she's simply too upright off either end of her skeleton. She's got to come with more bend and just a better posture off of either end of her build. This young lady did a good job with her Gilt here in 5. Got a good kind of a look coming at you in terms of her width of chest, the shape to her arm, has some dimension at the lower part of her skeleton. I like those things about her. A little flatter and drier in the lower portion of her body. I threw off her balance from the side. She did a good job with her project. Round out with a Gilt that's got a nice look out front, probably just a little more maternal look in there in the center portion of her body, and the Gilt that we just discussed. I like those things about her. She ran a little flat, a little too two-dimensional for this guy amongst the class of big stout ones. Congratulations to those kids. Did a great job in that particular drive.
And placings to class number 2, Yorkshire's. First went to Nash Wonderlick. Second went to Hayden Atcher. Third went to Gage Johnson. Fourth went to Ryland Hager. Fifth went to Mackenzie Howard. She'd be your first Kentucky. And sixth and second Kentucky was Colton Fitzpatrick. We're now showing for your top 3 Yorkshire breeding Gilts in contention from class number 1. We have Lila Mann. And from class 2, Nash Wonderlick.
Really a good set of Yorkshire Gilts. And again, coming to Kentucky, I know your state is known for quality in this breed and has a rich tradition and history. They've been very, very good all the way down the line. There's been lots of differences. But if I was a Yorkshire breeder, I'd be excited about with some directions. I think that you can go and dang sure not be wrong, because I think there's a lot of positive things that the breed's been doing here in the last 16 to 18 months. And it shows. I think the pigs are getting better. Hey, our champion's non-negotiable, in my opinion. Bigger, stouter, burlier than her counterpart, and just puts it together more comfortable off either end of her skeleton. Another one be fun to see in 48 hours. Congratulations to this guy in the pink. He's got her.
And your champion Yorkshire is entry 424, Nash Wonderlick. Good job, Nash. That'll drop in Hayden Atcher contention for the top 3.
Really, that was a good class, and honestly, just because it fell together pretty quickly didn't mean that the Gilts in 2 and 3 and on down the line weren't quality. I thought our class winner and our eventual champion was very, very impressive. We drop our second out. She's a shot stouter about her mug and just broader down low. I like her length just to her upper hip, her posture of her hind leg for a big Gilt, real, real good. She's my second favorite. Congratulations to him.
And your reserve goes to Hayden Atcher. Good job, Hayden. That'll bring in Gage Johnson contention for 3rd overall.
Really a good class there and a good trio on the top end. This Gilt had a wild look, a neat kind of a build from the side, and the way she was constructed underline up. We got a little critical on her rear foot, specifically just the bend and construction of it from hock to ground. But man, she's square, she's opened up, she's genuine, got a beautiful kind of a Yorkshire head. I like her 3rd best. Congratulations to him.
And your third overall is entry 430, Gage Johnson. Good job. We'll now be selecting your champion and reserve champion Kentucky Proud Yorkshire breeding gilts. And your champion Kentucky Proud Yorkshire is entry 431, Emery Burnett. And reserve Kentucky was entry 426, Mackenzie Howard. It's crossbred time, folks. Swing the gates. We'll get started with your first class of crossbred gilts. These would be lightweights, looking for 6 entries. Judge, these hogs are born weigh between 215 and 239 pounds. We need class 2 crossbred lightweights. Class 2, make your way to the makeup ring. Just another friendly reminder, if you have not signed up for showmanship, you need to do so immediately here at the announcer stand. If you've not signed up for showmanship, you need to come here to the announcer stand immediately. Rylan Hager, we need you in the makeup ring immediately.
Interesting class to kick things off here in our crossbred division. And again, I thought this trio sorted up from a build and just quality perspective. They had a bit more to them from a shape and muscle perspective than what a couple of those gilts that maybe didn't grab the scales did. At the same time, though, I thought this young lady in the yellow needed to win. She's got the stout gilt of the drive in terms of foot, feature, arm, big and broad in the center portion of her body. I like those things about her. She's a square, genuine kind of a gilt that's still good enough in terms of her structure down low. I thought a nice and real solid place to start in a somewhat challenging class. Hey, this white-footed gilt's in second, and she has the edge and the advantage in terms of look out front. I like her elevation, her quality ahead of her blade, an awesome structured kind of a gilt that's long, loose, and level out of her hip and hind leg. I think with time and hopefully with some feed, that gilt can come together and make an awesome big one. If that young lady's got some aspirations later here in the show season, she's got the right kind of look and quality of structure. She faded too much in her chest, closed up a bit more down low in comparison to our class winner. This gilt in three's got a really good look from the side, tall shouldered, alert, square backed, level hipped. I like those things about her. A little frailer about her feature and just a little more two-dimensional in the bottom side of her build when she drove right at me. This young man's gilt that came out next, I thought of the remaining trio held the advantage in terms of stoutness, power, genuineness to her skeleton. She's a little rounder about her rump, a little flatter about her body, still a good kind of a pig there. This young man's got a tall-shouldered, good-looking one that drops out of 5, needs to come with more spread. I thought her body shape, though, and the sweep and drop to the lower part of her midrib was better than the gilt we round out with. This gilt's tall-shouldered, good-looking, attractive, just needs more everywhere to work up any higher. Nice class there in our first class of crosses. Congratulations to those kids on doing a nice job.
Placings to Class 1 lightweights. First Kentucky went to Bailey Pig. Second went to Alexa Becraft. Third to Lakeland Shoemaker. Fourth to Brantley Shoemaker. Fifth and second Kentucky was Jackson Shoemaker. Sixth was Jackson Shoemaker. Looking for 10 entries in Class 2. Judge, these hogs weigh between 245 and 258 pounds. We need class. Following that class, we'll be selecting your champion and reserve lightweights.
Really a good class over here on our crossbred side of things, and honestly, this trio separates themselves from the pack. I thought pretty quickly, yet at the same time, I thought there was a pair that it got close between, and honestly, just as different as you could make them in some retrospects. Another one of those examples where one is really, really good, the other one comes with some flaw, and vice versa. Ultimately, though, the one that's the easiest for me to land on, just in terms of being stout, powerful, opened up, square, and genuine, and then coming with the extras in terms of the right kind of shape to her body, the right kind of set, slope, and angle to her shoulder, and where it attaches on her skeleton is this young man here in the purple. And again, talk about both those gilts that are in contention. They both got a stout head, a big chest, a broad arm. They both have more than enough from a shape and muscle perspective. Our class winner to me, better in the angle and set to her shoulder, like I said, bigger and broader about her body wall. I thought she offered a good enough kind of a look out front. She's not strong enough in terms of her front foot. And again, I like the fact that this white-legged gilt that's going to be in second here is better in that regard. An awesome kind of a generating looking head on her. She's as radical about her muscle shape and her pattern up high as anything that might come through the ring all day. With that, though, that kind of plays to her demise. She's a little flatter and harder in the center portion of her body. She rolls her elbow a little further on the outside of her body wall and then just needs her shoulder pulled directly a little further back in the base of her cage. I think we can do that. That particular gilt balances better. She pieces together better up front and can be a class winner in this particular drive. This Calico gilt in 3 represents a lot of good. Maybe doesn't come with as major of a flaw as the gilts in 1 and 2, but same time doesn't offer the same kind of far-reaching pieces. She's big in her chest. She's bold in her body. She's good about her spread. I didn't think she was in the same league of freshness from a shape perspective. She's the frailest and most fragile about her feet. She's not a shirt up home run slam dunk in terms of being safer in her hind leg or just better in her front foot. I thought that gilt was a nice place to put in 3. She's a good kind of a pig that the young lady's done a nice job with. Gilt in 4 is tall shouldered. She's good looking, got a good shape and spread to the center portion of her body. I thought those things were impressive. She closes up and fades probably the most at the bottom side of her build, starts to point her hawks east and west when she turns and leaves you. That becomes a little more concerning. We got a pair of blue gilts that come next. Both of them had shape, muscle, and power. I thought this black-nosed one a little better in terms of her build, a little safer about her structure up front, a little stouter about her ocular width and her noggin there. Big back kind of a gilt that comes next, a little rounder out of her rump, but man, she's got shape. This gilt that we talked about, tall-shouldered, good-looking, just a little weird and odd there in the way she utilizes her hind leg, rolls her hock further on the outside of her body wall, a little weaker there in her spine. We got a good gilt here that's stout and powerful, a little plainer about her look. Continue to drop them out. We've got pigs that have quality. This one's sound, needs to be more busted open. The couple gilts that we round out with here just need to come with a bit more shape and genuine power in this particular division to be a bit more competitive. Congratulations to those kids, though. Did an awesome job with their projects.
And placings in Class 2 crossbreds. First went to Holland Hobbs. Second went to Ryland Hager. Third went to Navy Woosley. Fourth and first Kentucky was Michaela Pike. Fifth and second Kentucky was Preston Zinner. Sixth went to Everett Green. Seventh went to Hayden Turner. Eighth to Scotty Rainwater. Ninth to Liam Kingry. 10th to Jackson Shoemaker. Congratulations. We're now selecting your top 3 lightweight crossbred gilts.
Really a good first division here in the crossbred side of things, and obviously some challenge, some give and take you got to sort through, but at the end of the day, I thought our quality was good. I thought one class was just a little stouter in the top end. They offer the same kind of power and dimension as another one, takes it a bit further with some extras. I like this young guy in the purple to win this division. Congrats to him.
And your champion lightweight crossbred gilt entry 476, Holland Hobbs. Congratulations.
We drop our second place gilt in that class out, and again, I got a little critical that she's a little more snug there in her mid-body. Her shoulder set is not ideal, but man, she's got a generating kind of a head on her. That kind of shape and spread up high I thought was real impressive. I thought that gilt offered some talking points if we need her a little later in the day. I thought she's got the quality to withstand it. I like her second best. Congratulations to him.
And your reserve crossbred lightweight gilt is entry 470, Ryland Hager. That'll bring in Navy Woosley in contention for third overall.
That was a good class and a good trio in the top end. And some folks may like this Calico Gilt the best because she is the safest of that initial trio. I didn't read her stout enough in her head and her mug there. I didn't think she was as dense about her lower skeleton, but she's got some chunk, a good shape to her body, an awesome kind of just spacing there to her lower line there. I thought was real good. I like her kind third best. Congratulations to that young lady on being third overall.
And your third overall crossbred lightweight Gilt is entry 529, Navy Woosley. Congratulations. Bailey, stay in the ring, please. We're now going to be selecting your champion and reserve champion Kentucky Proud lightweight Gilts. We need Jackson Shoemaker, Michaela Pike, and Preston Zinner, please, in the ring. Michaela Pike, we need you immediately. And your champion, Kentucky Proud's Miss Bailey Pig. And it looks like reserve's going to be Mr. Zinner. Congratulations. Let's get started with our middleweights, folks. Swing your gates. Looking for 7 entries in class number 3. Judge, these hogs weigh between 264 and 270 pounds. We need class 4. Class 4, make your way to the makeup ring. Following class 4, we'll select your top 3 middleweights. Just one more friendly reminder, if you are a Kentucky first or second, you do need to hang out in the makeup ring after the class for our selection of our top 3 Kentucky. Jillian Young, we need you immediately. Jillian Young. Jillian Young, your class is in the ring. We'd like to take just one more second and recognize Ringside Live. Ringside is here live streaming our shows all throughout the Kentucky State Fair. So if you have someone that wasn't able to be here, you can send them the link. Go to ringsidelive.co, find them on social media or YouTube, and send them the link. We'd also would like to take a second and recognize the Next Level Imaging is here, taking pictures of all your precious moments at the Kentucky State Fair. You can go online and download those pictures from them on their website.
Really interesting class as we bump up a weight division, and honestly, a kind of just a mixed variety pack, if you will. Lots of different pieces and parts. Maybe don't blend together quite as well in some areas as what you'd hope them to. But again, I thought this particular pair did the most good to sort. I like the black gilt to start because there's just more of her. Bigger in terms of her foot, stouter in terms of her bone work. There is no question. She is undeniable in terms of her width and spread coming and going. More shape on the upper part of her skeleton. in a perfect world, we could combine these two gilts because, man, if that black gilt had this chromed up gilt, just length the rump and usage of her hind leg, I think we'd have one that could be pretty fun to continue chatting about because this gilt's awesome from the side in terms of her height, the shoulder, her length, the rump, and the usage of her hind leg. We climb in behind the stock, and it's pretty simple. She's just too closed up and narrow at the bottom side of her build. She isn't big and bold enough in the center portion of her body. She closes up and fades just a shot more there at the base of her chest. I thought the decision to be made there on the top end was if that gilt just had enough muscle to call her sound enough. She's better structured than our class winner. She didn't come with the extras, so I didn't think it took to win. This gilt here in 3, another one that I want to be good so bad because she's so close in some areas. Got a great head, a good slope to her shoulder. Everything just didn't match quite as well, if you will. Assembled a bit more by committee in my mind. A shot rounder in her rump, a bit frailer in her feature. She didn't piece together and hinge in as good in her upper hip from her 10th back as what a couple of those other ones did. But man, that's a square kind of a gilt coming at you. An awesome kind of a head shape. Front 2/3 says she wants to be good real bad. I didn't think her rear third matched quite as well in this particular drive. Hey, standing still, this gilt in 4th can be really competitive. Stout about her head, big in her arm, broad in her back. She's got a great shape to her just middle rib and body. She was trying to go to the bathroom when she came out. I thought if we got her to the scales, maybe got her settled in, she'd piece together better. Her hind leg just doesn't work good enough, simply put, in this particular class. If it did, I think she's got the intangibles of look, stoutness, and power to work up a shot higher in this particular drive. I like this gilt for maybe the opposite reasons. In 5, good structured, put together well in the upper part of her build. Really a lot similar kind of a pattern to the gilt we just discussed. A little better in her angle to her shoulder. She's not just a significant upgrade, though, in her rear leg step and just her quality from behind. And then she's frailer just about everywhere you study her in the gilt we just discussed. I thought 6 and 7 were close. The black gilt to me was stout, moderate with a better angle to her hind leg. Our predominantly white gilt's genuine and powerful. Closes up a little more at the bottom side of her rib cage, a little plainer about her look. Really a nice class. Congratulations to those kids on doing a good job.
And placings in class number 3, middleweights. First in First Kentucky was Oliver Gripsover. Second was Ella Stone. Third, Elena Jones. Fourth was Jillian Young. Fifth and Second Kentucky was Miles Sane. Sixth was Brantley Shoemaker. Seventh was Lakeland Shoemaker. Looking for 10 entries in class number 4, Judge. These hogs weigh between 274 and 283 pounds. We need class 5. Class 5, make your way to the makeup ring.
Really another interesting class over here in the crossbred side of things, and I would tell you our variation in quality in this drive from 1st to 10th is probably as slim as we've had in any drive thus far. That led to some challenge, I thought, just in piecing them together 4 on down the line. I never wavered, though, that this Calico Gilt was winning this class. Tall-shouldered, good-looking, awesome about the shape to her body. I thought for a Gilt that was a shot more moderate just in her height. Man, her balance, her proportions fit together, opened up, square, powerful. Good place to go ahead and lead. I thought after that there was certainly some sword and debate amongst our drive. I thought this thin-belted Gilt, though, checked the next most boxes. Stout about her head, big in her arms, square in her shape, has some genuine power down low. Didn't have the same kind of look ahead of her shoulder as what our class winner did. I didn't think she was just as comfortable, as secure, and as sure up front as what our class winner was. I like this blue Gilt in 3, and honestly, young man did a good job driving her before we got her to the scales, and that's what got her to the scales because she's tall-shouldered. She's big in her arms. She's broad in her back. I thought she was a stout hip Gilt that maintained some squareness and some power down low. I like those things about her. When push came to shove, our initial trio, she's a shot rounder out of her hip, a bit tighter about her hock, and didn't just move as comfortably as a couple of those Gilts ahead of her. I wanted to tie into this Gilt that's in 4, and honestly, she just never got driving. If that Gilt goes and her pace is a little better, I think she's got some pieces to be very, very competitive, grab the scales and rival up top because she's heavy-legged. She's big in terms of her shape. She's good about her look, and honestly, she doesn't look too sour in the lower part of her skeleton in the way she's assembled. Just could never get rolling there. A little harder to get a view on. 4th was as comfortable as I was working her up in this particular drive. Gilt in 5 is the opposite end of the spectrum. Her pace and just show quality there I thought was real, real good. Gilt's tall-shouldered. She's good-looking. She's loose-spine. Plants them a little wide from behind, a little frailer in the lower part of her skeleton. Real stouty coming in 6, a little closed up at the base of her chest for being big-backed and bold-bodied, a little plainer about her look. This Calico Gilt's got a neat look out front, a little flatter about the center portion of her body, a little plainer about her feature. I thought she had more muscle, though, than the Gilt coming in 8. That one had a shot more bone, a little more closed up at the bottom side of her build, plainer up high and tighter about her hip. We continue to drop these next couple Gilts out. Our young lady's Gilt in 9. I thought structure was real, real good, a little frailer about her head shape, a little plainer about her muscle. She's surer-footed than a couple of them other ones. We got a stout-featured kind of a Gilt we round out with. Just never took an accurate enough step off either end of her skeleton. Hey, I like that class. I like that division. Congratulations to those kids.
And placings to class number 4, middleweights. First went to Lila Mann. Second went to Ella Stone. Third went to Kenton Burnett. Fourth to Eli Sane. Fifth, Molly Decker. Sixth, Mackenzie Howard. Seventh, Charlie McGinnis. Eighth, Ariel Newsom. Molly Decker was 9th, and Savannah Moore was 10th. Congratulations.
Really an interesting division is what our middleweight crossbreds became because there was a little more sort maybe than what we had in our first division, specifically on the top end in some of those classes. I thought this pair, though, rose to the forefront for different reasons, but both of them checked a lot of boxes, did things very, very good. In my opinion, there's one of them a bit smoother about her build, a bit neater about her structure. I like her pace. I like her athleticism. I like her ability to push her hock just a shot further behind the base of her tail. Calico's heading to the champion crossbred drive. Congrats to her.
And your champion middleweight crossbred, Gilt Entry 485, Lila Mann. Congratulations. That'll bring Ella Stone in contention for top 3.
Dropped that second in, and that Gilt did a lot of things well. Didn't have maybe the far-reaching pieces as what our champion did. And I would tell you where our champion could be tweaked just in terms of the column of her rear bone, her genuine stoutness, our reserve in this division, pushes it as far as you possibly can. Tough about her head, a great big back, a stout kind of a hind leg. Got to ask yourself, is she just mobile and just feminine enough in this setting? But she's stout, she's broad, she's opened up. I like this young man out of the first class of this division, second best. Congrats to him.
And reserve middleweight crossbred, Gilt Entry 466, Oliver Grips over. Congratulations. That'll bring in Ella Stone's other in contention for 3rd overall. Both that champion and reserve are your automatic Kentucky Proud champions.
Young lady had a good pair of second place gilts in this division. I thought one of them would just hit me a little harder in terms of look, balance, ability to piece together from this side. Not broad enough to push any higher, but heavy-legged and attractive. I like the second out of the first class, next best. Congrats to him.
And third overall went to entry 514. Congratulations, Ella. One more time, let's put our hands together for all of our middleweight crossbred gilt exhibitors. Kenton Burnett, you can leave the ring, please. Preston Zenner, we need your hog in the ring, please. Preston Zenner. Preston Zenner, we need you in the ring, please.
Really a good class, an impressive pair here as we roll up into the next division. I thought the three that got weighed maybe just a little deeper at the top end than what we've been in these past couple. This particular pair, though, I thought was very, very good. They pieced together with some differences like we've had in our competitive classes throughout the day. And honestly, you just got to decide which one's easier to advocate for. Do you like them a shot chunkier bodied, a bit better in the middle part of their section, maybe not just as far reaching in terms of some indicators, or can you live with one that's just a little snug in the center portion of her rib, but she's got just a little stouter head and a safer kind of a construction to her hip and hind legs? Those are the differences that I saw between them. Honestly, I thought there was one that hit me strong right out of the gate in terms of the toughness to her head from the brim of her nose on back into her set to her ear. I thought she was awesome in her arm, big in her chest, broad in her back. She's got a great kind of a square front foot that hits the surface, big in terms of her hip. And I thought where her stifle set was honestly just a little more in line for this particular evaluator. I like the young man in the black to my right to win this particular class. This Gilton, too, I thought offered some really intriguing pieces. And like we talked about, from the point of her shoulder on back into the base of her flank, she swallows our class winner because she's as big and as bold and as broad in her mid-body as you could ask one to be. Has a great sweep and drop there to the lower portion of her line. I like those things about her. She didn't have as much hair laid on her skeleton. That crew's done an awesome job of presenting her well. Has a great shape, a great freshness. I didn't read her as stout about her head. I didn't read her as fresh about her crest. And we climb in behind her. She's plenty wide there in her stifle. Still a good pig with a great kind of a bend from the side to her hind leg. I thought a good pair, a tough class there on the top end. Congratulations to those two young men. This black Gilt that comes in three, extra stout, really burly, moderated, big back, stout hipped. I like those things about her. She's got foot and feature. I thought those things were good. I thought in comparison to a really nice pair ahead of her, a little more upright about her shoulder, a little tighter moving off either end of her structure. Still a good kind of a Gilt to work into three. This Gilt in four is smooth built, awesome made, good structured, a little flatter and just drier in the upper part of her skeleton, a little frailer down low in comparison to some. She's got the big flag tail sitting high on the top side of her hip. Young lady's done a great job getting her driven. This blue Gilt that comes next, really aggressive in her shape, fades a little bit for me in her chest, a little tighter off either end of her skeleton. Got a calico Gilt that's good moving, a little plainer in terms of her shape and spread. Round out with a Gilt that's got some muscle, a little upright off either end of her skeleton. Really a good class there. Good start to our heavyweight division. Congratulations to those kids.
Miss Whitney, we need you at the announcer stand immediately, please. Placings of Class 5 heavyweights. First went to Court Flock. He's also your first Kentucky. Second went to Chance Hager. Third and second Kentucky was Ethan Hall. Four to Lily Smith. Fifth to Brianna Smith. Sixth to Charlie McGinnis. Seventh to Wyatt Stump. 6 entries in Class 6 judge. These hogs weigh between 299 and 310 pounds. We need Class 7. Class 7 heavies. Make your way to the makeup ring.
Really a good class that fits together pretty logically, in my opinion. A good top trio. They've all got their place, and I think fit there pretty logically in my mind. A good kind of a class winner. Stout, broad, three-dimensional, big in terms of her body, broad in terms of her back, and really stout when she leaves you. I thought her mobility matched with the right kind of squareness. Congratulations to that young lady on a good kind of a class winner. Our Gilton, too, has a great kind of a look out front. Really good in terms of the slope and set to her shoulder. I like the drop to her mid-body, her length of rump, and the usage of her hind leg. She's not in the same league as stoutness as what our class winner is, from the base of her head on down to her front feature and her rear bone. But again, I like that Gilt's look. I like her build. I like her construction of the lower part of her skeleton a good deal as well. This young man does a good job with his Gilt in third, has a great kind of a balance and just silhouette from the side. I like her profile, her elevation, and just her levelness and squareness of back. Really a comfortable kind of a Gilt in terms of her length of step and the posture of her hind leg. We get right in front of her. She closes up too much at the base of her chest on down to the bottom side of her build, and then she wasn't just as rolled up and maxed out and shapely on the top side of her skeleton as the Gilts on either side of her. This blue is really big backed, really big armed, extra stout when she leaves you. She was close to getting a pin because her extra power is hard to ignore in this particular drive. She rolls her hock a little further on the outside of her body wall. She's a shot rounder out of her hip. I didn't think she utilized her lower skeleton quite as effectively as a couple of those Gilts that preceded her. I like this Gilt coming next from the side. Tall shouldered, good looking, big in terms of her body, comfortable down low, needs more bone and just genuine stoutness. Round out with a Gilt that's extra stout, very, very powerful. Needs to come just a bit better in her structure off either end of her build. Good class. Congratulations to those kids on doing a nice job.
Placings in class number 6 heavyweights. First went to Mally Sipe. Second and first Kentucky was Michaela Pike. Third to Hudson Tackett. Fourth to Ethan Hall. Fifth to Ashlyn Tingle. Sixth to Brandley Shoemaker. Congratulations. Looking for 9 entries in class number 7. Judge, these hogs weigh between 315 and 328 pounds. We need class 8. Class 8, make your way to the makeup ring. Following that, we will be selecting your champion, reserve, and third overall heavies. We will then be selecting your champion, reserve, and third overall crossbreds, and then we'll do your Kentuckies, and then we will be doing a silent Kentucky only selection for your Kentucky Proud hogs. So all you purebred champion reserve Kentucky Prouds, we're going to need you to think about making to the makeup ring at the conclusion of the crossbreds. I'll announce when to bring you up here, but if you are a champion reserve Kentucky Proud, just realize that you will be coming back into the ring at the conclusion of all of our crossbreds.
Really a good class here on the crossbred side of things. And again, a lot like this division's been, it's really good on the top end. It's equally as consistent and high quality as we work on down the line. And my compliments to the folks in the back, the kids getting them ready. This is going to be a cutthroat kind of a division drive. This Blue Gilt poked her head out. I thought needed to win this particular class. Balance, her ability to just piece together so impressively from the side, I thought allowed her to win and do so pretty handily. Tall-shouldered, big in her rib, really loose about her spine. She's a little more toned down from behind than the Gilt that's in 2. I thought her shoulder set and just the angle of her blade was better than the Gilt in 3. An interesting kind of a pig to go ahead and lead. I really like this Calico Gilt that's in 2nd. And again, where our class winner you can get a little critical on, this Gilt fills the void. Really big in her chest. That is as big and beautiful and just square of a back as anything that's come through the ring thus far today. She's got a big hip, a really stout, measurable shape there from stifle to stifle. I like those things about her. When push came to shove, she didn't less balance in the same league of quality from the side as what our class winner did. She's a tall-shouldered, good-looking Gilt. I didn't think everything just pieced together quite as flawlessly. This Gilt in 3 looks like kind of one of them that you put in 3rd and talk about how she can generate because she's big in her chest. She's great big in her arm. She's a beautiful back Gilt as well. Extra stout in her hip. Got the big stout tail working on the top side there. I like those things about her. I didn't know if her bone maybe matched what her hair said it needed to, and then at the same time, she rolls out just a little more in her elbow. I didn't think she was just as attractive and good looking out front as what those 2 Gilts that preceded her were. This is a good kind of a pig in 4. Awesome about her build, tall-shouldered, good-looking, very attractive. A little flatter in her front foot, a little more closed up in her chest. This black Gilt is extra stout, 3-dimensional, big in her back, big in her chest, big in her arm. She pushes the limits like we talked from behind just a little more than what I would deem ideal. I thought she was a bit rounder there out of her rump. I like this Calico Gilt's look and balance and symmetry from the side. Really stout about her head, tall-shouldered, good-looking. Needs a little more muscle for this particular guy, specifically to match her stoutness ahead there. I like this Gilt coming. Nice built, smooth, big in terms of her body wall. Closes up too much there at the base of her chest. I thought when this Gilt came out, she was close because she's big in her arm and good up front. She doesn't use her hind leg just quite effectively enough. Specifically, the longer she's out here, round out with a Gilt that's got some shape and got some power. Needs to be a little better looking. Great class there, specifically on the top end. Congrats to those kids.
And placings to class number 7 heavyweights. First went to Holland Hobbs. Second went to Kaiser Sutton. Third went to Nolan Hobbs. Fourth to Jordan Gosney. Fifth to Jessica Conrad. Sixth went to Hayden Turner. Seventh to Emery Burnett. Eighth to Navy Woosley. Ninth to Maylee Propes. Congratulations. Looking for 4 entries in this class, Judge. These hogs weigh between 335 and 353 pounds. Following this, we'll select your top 3 heavyweights. We need all those heavyweight class winners and seconds to be in the makeup ring, please. Or the top 3, excuse me. First, second, and thirds.
Really a good way to round things out in terms of classes for the day. A nice kind of a class winner that the young lady brings us. I thought the combination of the Gilts in 2 and 3 has the look and just pattern and silhouette of our blue, has some extra shape and some stoutness. I thought a nice kind of a place to lean on there in this particular drive. Good Gilt in second that the young man's got. His belted project is big-footed, really stout featured, a little longer bodied Gilt, and I like that because she balances, pieces it together, has made it to a heavy weight and stayed very comfortable in the assembly of her front feet. Got a big stout rear leg on her. I like those things about her. Nice kind of a show Gilt. Looks like she's going to make a better kind of a Sal prospect for him. I didn't think she was quite as unique about her look as what our class winner was. Still a good kind of a pig. Blue Gilt's got an awesome pattern from the side. A big flag tail sitting there. I like that. Big and tall and neat about the front 1/3 of her skeleton. I like those things. Too flat, closed up, and just two-dimensional in the mid part of her body. Really a good class. Congratulations to those kids on doing a great job.
And placing to class number 8, first Kentucky was Allie Arnold. Second went to Wyatt Moore. Third went to Colton Fitzpatrick. Congratulations. We'll now be selecting your champion reserve and third overall heavyweight crossbred gilts at the 2026 Kentucky State Fair. In contention from class number 5, we have Mr. Court Flock. From class number 6, we have Miss Mally Sipes. From class number 7, we have Holland Hobbs. And from class number 8, we have Miss Allie Arnold. It's way too quiet, folks. Let's put our hands together for these heavyweight crossbred gilt exhibitors.
Really an impressive division, and honestly, by some margin, I thought the toughest division that we've had in our crossbreds thus far, and not just because there's been more classes, but I talked about it. I thought our quality at the top end, there was a little more just to work and wade through, and then I thought our quality here in our class winners was very, very good. That being said, I thought one came to the forefront pretty logically, in my opinion, was just the combination of some others in terms of look and stoutness, pattern, and quality from the side. Very, very impressive. Awesome kind of a structure. Opened up and extra stout. Young man with the blues got her. Congratulations to her.
And your champion heavyweight crossbred gilt comes from class number 7, entry 475, Holland Hobbs. Congratulations, Holland. That'll bring in Kaiser Sutton in contention for the top 3.
We dropped that young man second out, and again, I liked a lot of pieces about that Gilt. Again, I thought the testament of the quality of this division is what lied in second and third, and that Gilt fits the bill. And there was another one that hit me really good and an awesome kind of a class. I thought just mobility, range of motion, stoutness was so impressive. You can tweak her in an area, and again, I think just a home run kind of a hitter. She looks like a generator to me. Extra stout, dense, mobile, opened up. This young guy out of the first class of this division's reserve. Congrats to him.
And reserve heavyweight is entry 461 from class number 5, Court Flock. Congratulations. That'll drop in Chance Hager in contention for third overall.
Really, like I've said, a great division. That second comes in incredibly close and fits right into the mix. We tweaked on her head a little bit. We got a little more critical on just her spread and her width from behind. I still think that's a good pig. It comes down between her, the other second, and another one out here. I thought the one that fits the mold to be third is a little different than the rest in terms of density, stoutness, and just genuine power. She's got a tougher head than one. She's got a broader body than another. If her gland doesn't offend you too bad, she can probably sneak just another shot up higher. Again, I thought one that was mobile, stout, and dense. This young lady's Calico is going to be third. Congrats to her.
And third overall is entry number 509 from class number 6, Mally Sipes. Congratulations. One more time, let's put our hands together for all these heavyweight crossbred gilt exhibitors. We still need all of those Kentucky kids in the heavyweight division to stay in the ring. Kentucky proud heavyweights. Congratulations to Court Flock, your champion Kentucky proud heavyweight crossbred gilt. We still need to pick a reserve. And in reserve, Kentucky Prouds, Mr. Kaiser Sutton. Congratulations. One more time, put your hands together for all these kiddos. We need the champion, reserve, and third overall lightweight, middleweight, and heavyweights to be in the makeup ring, please. Champion, reserve, and third overall light, middle, and heavy. We also need those Kentucky Proud champions and reserves to make your way to the makeup ring. Entering the ring, we'll be selecting your champion reserve and third overall crossbreds. Your champion lightweight, entry 476, Holland Hobbs. Put your hands together for these kids as they come into the ring. Your champion middle, entry 485, Lila Mann. And your champion heavy, entry 475, Holland Hobbs.
Really have had a blast today. It's been a great kind of a crossbred show. Gilt quality has been good on the top end, but again, like I've reiterated, I thought we had a lot of depth throughout the show. Folks and the ring staff did a tremendous kind of a job. I thought these three crossbred gilts were great examples of their particular divisions. I thought when they came through and we were working through, man, we got later into the show and I was still waiting for one. She came out and I had a little more pip in my step. I thought you could just breathe a little more calmly. She made things just a little more logical, in my opinion. I thought a neat kind of an animal. I'll be excited to see how she stays together over the next couple days, what she looks like Thursday night. She's got the big pieces, the big stout bones, and an awesome kind of a skeleton. Shanghai, the heavyweights, got her. Congratulations to him.
And your champion overall crossbred breeding gilt goes to Mr. Holland Hobbs, entry 475. That'll bring in Court Flock in contention for the top three.
drop our reserve in that division. And again, I thought that Gilt did things so good. Just from a stoutness ahead, a spread to her chest. She's broad in her back. She's big in her hip. Extra stout and tough about her features. We talked about the champion staying together. Man, if this one can make one more move in the center portion of her body, I think she can be a lot of fun to evaluate in a couple days because she's got the wild pieces, fits together so well up high. That one's my second favorite. Congratulations to him.
And the reserve champion crossbred breeding Gilt goes to entry 461, Court Flock. Congratulations. That'll bring Mally in contention for third overall.
Really, again, that was an awesome kind of a division, and that's nothing to take away from the other two. Our lightweights quite as neat a looking. The Calico out of D2 is so square, so genuine, so comfortable. I like those things about her. We dropped this third heavyweight in, extra stout, very dense, broad and opened up on the upper part of her skeleton. I said you tweak kind of just her gland there from behind in the lower part of her flank, and she can work up to reserve in some guys' minds. I like that Gilt third best. Congratulations to her.
And your third overall is Miss Mally Sipes. Congratulations. Let's put our hands together one more time for all these crossbred breeding Gilt exhibitors. We'll now be picking your reserve Kentucky Proud crossbred. Final call for showmanship signups. Mr. Kaiser Sutton. Good job, Kaiser. Okay, it's to my understanding we're going to be doing a silent selection with our Kentucky Proud breed champions and reserves. They want the champions in first. We'll parade those and have them stand to the side once the judge is done evaluating them. Then we will do our reserves. We need entries from the following: AOB Light, Hayden Atcher and Braden Howard; AOB Dark, Mally Sipes and Brantley Shoemaker; your Berkshires, Adeline Jackson and Ava Toomey; Chesters, Colton Fitzpatrick and Brantley Shoemaker; Duroc, Allie Arnold and Woods Wunderlich; Hampshire, Oliver Gripsover, Braden Howard; Hereford, Bree Colston, Jack Shepard; Spot, Ruby Atchison, Claire Dutton; Yorks, Emery Burnett, Mackenzie Howard; and Crossbreds, Court Flock and Kaiser Sutton. Allie Arnold and Emery Burnett, we need you in the makeup ring immediately, please. Emery Burnett and Allie Arnold, we need you in the makeup ring, please. Entering the ring, we're now selecting or doing a silent selection, if you will, of your Kentucky Proud breeding gilts. In contention, and I'm going to go just read through their list. I think we're coming out in breed order. AOB Light was Hayden Atcher. AOB Dark is Mally Sipes. Your Berkshires, Adeline Jackson. Your Chesters, Colton Fitzpatrick. Your Duroc is Allie Arnold. Your Hampshire is Oliver Gripsover. Your Hereford is Bree Colston. Your Spot is Ruby Atchison. Your Yorkshire's Emery Burnett. And your Crossbreds Court Flock. We'll let the judge evaluate your breed champions, and we will then go into to the reserves. All right, kids, if you'll pull those hogs over towards the announcer stand and shut them down over here, please. And your reserve breed champions, your AOB light was Braden Howard. Your AOB dark was Brantley Shoemaker. Your reserve Kentucky Proud Berkshire was Ava Toomey. The Chester was Brantley Shoemaker. The Duroc was Woods Wunderlich. The Hampshire was Braden Howard. The Hereford was Jack Shepard. Your Spot is Claire Dutton. The Yorkshire is Mackenzie Howard. And your Crossbred's Kaiser Sutton. Let's put our hands together for all these kiddos. Kiddos, you can exit the ring. Awesome breeding gilt show today. Great novice division today as well. We'd like to welcome you all back here into the swine barn tomorrow morning, starting at 9 o'clock for your swine showmanship showdown. 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. We'll see you here. If you got any questions, go find Jason People. He'll take all your answers.